He's the best QB in the pocket in 2023 in college football and FBS. First in TD passes, 35. In the pocket. Oh, Smitty, he's a scrambler. He's not a good quarterback. In the pocket, 35 of his 40 touchdowns were in the pocket. He was first in FBS in yards per attempt with 11.5, 67% completion percentage on 20-plus yard passes in 2023. Best in FBS in the last 10 years. In the last decade, no one's been better on 20-plus yard throws than JD5. And yet, people walk in here, just meander on into the chat, into the live stream, and onto the phone line, regurgitating the garbage content that they hear and just repeat like a parrot. And they say, yeah, but he's not a good deep threat. He's just a scrambling quarterback.
Live from the FantasyFootballShow.com studios. It's the Fantasy Football Show. Live! Monday through Friday, 8 p.m. Eastern. Smitty is also live whenever news breaks.
Is JD5 as elusive as Lamar? Sean wants to know. Yes, he is. And my prediction is that he'll be better than Lamar Jackson on all levels. On all levels. Maybe they're equal scramblers at the end of the day in many people's eyes. That I could get behind that argument, but JD5 comes out of college as one of the most elusive running backs we've ever seen play the college game. JD5 had 10 rushing touchdowns, my guy. 10 rushing touchdowns. Let me pull up JD5's board here and show you JD5's numbers. JD5 had, he says I'm 210 pounds, by the way. JD5 had 1134 on the ground last year in college. 1134 and 10 touchdowns. He had 3-8-1-2, 38-12 passing. The most amazing thing you see on this screen, well, there's probably more an amazing stat I'll hit in a second, but one of the most amazing things on the screen is that this guy still had 40 passing touchdowns and nearly 4,000 passing yards when he was busy taking a lot of the opportunities away from himself by running for 1134 and 10 touchdowns. When you have 1134 and 10 touchdowns, you should not have 3,800 yards and 40 passing touchdowns. That doesn't make any sense at all. It doesn't make a single lick of sense. And it doesn't even make sense even more so that you'd have 4 INTs on the year. He's the best QB in the pocket in 2023 in college football and FBS. First in TD passes, 35. In the pocket. Oh, Smitty, he's a scrambler. He's not a good quarterback. In the pocket, 35 of his 40 touchdowns were in the pocket. He was first in FBS in yards per attempt with 11.5, 67% completion percentage on 20-plus yard passes in 2023. Best in FBS in the last 10 years. In the last decade, no one's been better on 20-plus yard throws than JD5. And yet, people walk in here, just meander on into the chat, into the live stream, and onto the phone line, regurgitating the garbage content that they hear and just repeat like a parrot. And they say, yeah, but he's not a good deep threat. He's just a scrambling quarterback. Then why is he the best quarterback in college football with 20-plus yard throws? Riddle me that. Everything I'm showing you here should have you going, oh, my God, this is a top 3 quarterback in the National Football League a year from today. What have I said that has steered you in a different direction? This has been my number 1 quarterback from the jump. Never hesitated. Never stuttered. No equivocation. Last 3 games, he had 11 TDs and 0 INTs inside the pocket.
If I were to have one concern about JD5, the film does show he takes a lot of big hits, but I think he definitely will clean that up at the NFL level.
How do you not look? I'm not saying you don't bring up a somewhat valid point, but how do you not take as many hits as you can possibly corral up on film and cherry pick and say, look at this bad hit, look at this bad hit. He ran for 1134, bro. You're going to take all kinds of hits.
Yeah, he still did.
I know. So this is like my brother. My brother cuts his fingers with blades all the time. We're taking him to the ER, my older brother. Taking him to the ER once every 3 or 4 years. He'll hit like he'll go straight into his nerve with a box cutter. He's constantly cutting himself. And we're like, why do you cut yourself so much? And then his friend enlightened us with this comment, this one little comment. It just made us all go, whoa. He said, because my brother works with his hands all day long, making prototypes, cutting things constantly. The buddy said, the amount of times you have an X-Acto knife and cutting tools in your hand, you probably cut yourself less than the average person on the planet in terms of the amount of times he's in there doing that stuff. And my brother's like, that's probably true. And my brother, a big grin on his face because he was feeling down, because he keeps cutting himself. But he's actually the most careful person in the world. He's just constantly using an X-Acto knife and cutting things left and right. And so my point here being is that when you run the ball 1,100 yards, 1134 and 10 scores, you're going to have film that's going to show you getting popped more than the average player. And because you have 8 or 9, clips of you getting popped hard, you're going to say, oh, he gets hit hard in the college football space. When he's running more than anybody. Of course he's going to get popped more than everybody. But maybe we look at the stats similar to my brother, and you say, for the amount of times he's running, he gets less hit, like tough hits than anybody in college football. It's all perspective. You know what I'm saying? It's all perspective. And people cherry pick everything.
Reminds me of is Anthony Richardson of last year. I think he'll be better though because he's got Cliff Kingsbury and they handpicked him. I do think he'll be better than AR5.
Bro, let me tell you this. When we look at a board like this and we say AR5 was going, do I have let me go get an AR5 image. Hold on.
He's on a shuttle to Mars.
Here's the Mars man. Let's grab this. Let's go back to the board. AR5, okay? AR5 was getting drafted, if I remember correctly, in round 6 and 7 last year. It was somewhere in this territory. The fun thing about AR5, if you remember back, is he was getting drafted in round 6 or 7, but he was getting drafted as a starter, but like not the guy you're starting a week 1. So people were actually drafting their week 1 starter after they drafted AR5. They were just drafting on spec that this is going to become an amazing player, and they're not sure when. I believe we'll see the same thing happen as we go into the next couple weeks and months, especially if news breaks that JD5 does this and does that. One clip of him just running like 80 yards down the field untouched, like just a couple different things. There's some missile he throws to McLaurin. It's going to increase his value into, I think, the same territory. And people will be cautious to draft JD5 as their starter like they were AR5. But if anybody remembers, as we got into the season, I think it was around, let's see, he got injured. Let me look at...
week 5, I think.
So he let me just pull up the QB numbers here. AR5... I don't even think I have. Do I have it on here? I don't think I have it on this particular thing. Damn. I'll put it on here so I can reference it later. But when he got injured, the moment he got injured, that moment, like from that, right up to that moment, he was a top 5 overall running back evaluation. Like if you were trying to trade for AR5, and remember, quarterbacks were going down like flies last year. So there was more of an interest in acquiring AR5 in a trade. Than there was, than there would have been, because you had guys going down left and right. But AR5, he went down pretty early on in the year, and you would have to have paid like top 5 QB value for him. I think JD5 will be worth that by week 4, 5, or 6. I think that you're going to have to, if you want JD5, and think about all the teams that are going to own JD5, they're going to have JD5 and they're going to have a Joe Burrow. They're going to have JD5 and they're going to have a Mahomes because of the way he's falling. There's the person that's JD5 will have another quarterback. So whoever is JD5 will be tempted 8 times out of 10 to trade him or trade their other starter and put JD5 in. So to get him, to acquire him, the person holding JD5 will be able to request top 5, top 6 quarterback value. So dare I say, and there might even be a video on this, he is one of the craftiest guys to grab late if the value still allows you to grab him late. Some leagues you can, some leagues you can't, because your return on investment for him will be so much higher than the round you're drafting him. Quarterbacks are just worth more. Thanks again, Alan, for the super chat, because I mean that in a good way, but he's going to become a problem for you because you're going to be sitting there going, do I put in JD5 over Joe Burrow? And then JD5 is going to maybe outscore him. Then the next week you're going, do I put in JD5 over Burrow? And the next week JD5, and then eventually you're going to be like, damn it, I got to do it. And then you're going to put him in, and then he'll score less, and Joe Burrow will go nuts, and you're going to have this problem on your hands. So it's a good problem to have. It's better to have that problem in best ball because you'll just have your top scorer scoring for you every time. And
Live from the FantasyFootballShow.com studios, it's the Fantasy Football Show. Live! Monday through Friday, 8 p.m. Eastern. Smitty is also live whenever news breaks.